What is up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Dad's Life Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Flack 2.0. I know it's been a minute. There's a lot of things that's been going on. In today's episode, I wanted to cover something um, inspirational. Yeah, let's say something inspirational. So, just to catch up on everything, this is actually Easter. So happy Easter, everybody, if you are listening when this drops. But if you are listening to it later, I believe we're about 4 weeks into a COVID-19 quarantine. So there's been a lot of stuff going on. I'm considered an essential employee, so I've been having to go to work. But at the same time, really paying very close attention to my health and to all those things that come in with that. So I hope when you guys are listening to this that you guys are in good health. You guys are at home. The hardships aren't as bad for you. So yeah, hopefully, I'm just gonna put everybody in my thoughts and put out those positive vibes into the universe, and hopefully, we all could get through this with minimal hardship as possible. So let me say that. From there, again, we're just going to be talking about one of the things that kind of inspired me to do what I'm doing today. And then you got a section, Holla at my homie, and talk about my girl, Candice. Talk about what she's doing that's very inspirational. And, kind of take it from there. So it might be a short episode. I know it's been a while, but let's get down to some business first. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and we're available here on anchor.fm. You can find me here. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and most of the major places you would find the podcast. You could also hit me up on Twitter. That's at Sean Flack. That stuff goes directly to my phone. So if you have any questions, comments, or emotional outbursts, don't be afraid to hit me up there, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also head over to the website. That's www.seanflack.com for everything that we're doing. That includes the YouTube page, the Instagram, has links to the blog is obviously going to be there. Right now we're doing a streamer spotlight. And then, of course, Wednesday nights at 9 from 9 to 10:30, scheduled mixer night. That's going to be mixer.com /Sean_Flack, where you can hang out with me live. I'll be streaming most likely COD, because that's what I'm playing right now. Yeah, obviously with more content coming out and trying to deal with daily lives, I'd love to get more scheduled time on Mixer to hang out with you guys. But again, I'm available there on mixer.com /Sean_Flack if you want to hang out with me live. So with that, let's just get into the episode. So today I want to talk about inspiration because, with things that are going on right now, I want to kind of, showcase some folks and talk about what's inspired me and, throw some positive vibes out there. So first, I want to take this time to holla at my homie, Candice. I'll make sure I link all of her information down below. And what I say when I say inspiration, and I talk about hers, we're friends on Facebook. I've known Candice since high school, and through Facebook we've been able to keep in contact with each other and check in with each other occasionally. And so recently I've been noticing her put up daily stories on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, compared to like before, whatever, just more traffic. And then I start looking at them, and they're like working out, like fitness videos, and like quick stories about basically eating right and exercising. So, and then she had put a blurb on something, and I was like, oh, well, okay, maybe she's doing a program or whatever. Let me ask her kind of like what she's doing. So I inquired about what she was doing. She's very consistent about it and everything. Like I said, almost every day that I notice, there's always a new story with her talking about some type of shake or, like I said, eating right and exercising. So I reached out to her, and she kind of informed me that she's a coach with Beachbody. And I was like, oh, okay. So I asked her kind of like, how does she get into it and things like that. And so she shared a story with me. She said, she's always been about mind, body, spirit. And when she was going through a really hard time in her life, she joined a fitness group, and she loved that group atmosphere. It was a non-judgmental group that when she was able to make it, good. And when she wasn't harassed or anything like that. But when she was able to make it back into the group, just dealing with everyday life and stuff like that, couldn't make it to everything. They just welcomed her with open arms. And so she decided that that's something that she wanted to provide other people, to help inspire other people to get fit. So she decided to go with Beachbody, which I'm going to link all of her contact information down below. Currently, she's doing a all women's group. And then, of course, if you're a guy, you're interested in looking into what Beachbody is about, she'll also work with you. And, if she needs to start another group, she'd be willing to do that too. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there because that's very inspirational, definitely coming from like a hard time in your life and having to step back, deal with hardship, step back, reevaluate yourself and kind of ground yourself to what you were originally, again, mind, body, spirit, and then taking that passion, that drive, and then being able to provide that same type of community, that same type of group belonging feel to other folks that are potentially struggling with weight or possibly even just life stuff or whatever. So anyway, very inspiring. Again, she's very consistent. She's on there every day. She's a teacher and she has kids. So, like I said, very, very busy lady, but she is definitely very consistent. So that's very inspiring. One of the other reasons why I actually talk about her, because where we met in high school. We actually met in theater, and that's where I get into my inspiration, like the person that inspired me that wasn't my father. So again, a lot of fond memories in theater class. And just a little background, I thought theater was like trash. I thought theater was like trash. And sorry about that delay there, but so I really thought theater was trash, and I actually went through a hard time myself in high school. I went to 4 different high schools. We moved around a lot, and I ended up where I ended up at the fourth high school, and I lived in Reno, lived in California. Their credits and all that stuff are all they're different. So I took ROTC, and in Nevada, ROTC is considered a gym credit. And if you take ROTC out here in California, at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but it is a elective credit. So I didn't have any gym credits. So as a senior, I had to take gym. And so that messed my schedule up, and that forced me into theater, which I'm so glad I went into. So theater, I'm going to get right to it. I'm going to talk about my theater teacher. His name is Mr. Vinci. He was a hard ass, but he taught a lot of life lessons. He taught a lot of, I got to say it, life lessons. So Mr. Vinci, he was a drama teacher, theater teacher. He wasn't like at the time, and again, I don't know if things have changed. It's been over 20 years now at this point, but it would be English teachers that taught drama as well. And he very made a distinction between himself that he was a theater teacher. He took theater, he taught theater, he was actually in the acting industry. He talked about how he worked on a lot of different sets, nothing big and major, but he got the experience of working on major sets as extras or as, he told us a story about he was a caterer, for the scene back in the day, how he would cater to all the, the movie lots and stuff like that. So, he brought a lot of experience of the industry into the class, and he was really hard on us about tasking and things like that and just being on time. And, so a couple of things I wanted to share with you that were inspiring to him. Well, let's talk about the class first. The class in itself was, it taught me how to speak in public. Obviously doesn't teach me how to speak over the mic, but being able to talk in front of a large group of people, getting over nervousness, like learning about the different types of theater. From like one of the things that I thought was interesting, we learned about miming. And you think mime, you think like these little things in France with white face painted and they're doing like these weird things, but miming, it's an amazing thing what he did with it. He even talked about how like fight scenes were a form of miming. Um, so yeah, again, learned a lot in the class itself. And, like I said, him being an instructor, he had said that being an actor is like being an athlete. So, he's like, you don't see, even though you're a superstar or Michael Jordan, he always referenced Michael Jordan, or the references I can remember, he'd reference Michael Jordan. He would say, hey, you could get there on the court. Michael Jordan's a superstar. You still see him on the court practicing and warming up. That's just exactly like an actor. Like you gotta, it's work. It's a lot of hard physical work. So he would actually make us do stretches and like practice our vocals. And the crazy thing though was the stretches. Like, but we really literally had to do stretches like we were in gym class. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But he had talked about a bunch of different like life lessons, and one of the ones I for sure want to tell you about was being on time. You know, obvious, like as of right now, like as far as being timely, I'm a stickler for being on time. I want to be there 15 minutes early. And his thing was he would say, if you're 15 minutes early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late. And what did he mean by that was, well, if you know it's going to take you 15 minutes to get ready, you need to show up 15 minutes early. So by the time curtain call comes up, it is time, you're ready to go. You're not showing up at curtain call, taking you 15 minutes to get ready. And now everybody that was there 15 minutes early and are ready to go on at curtain call, excuse me, they're waiting on you. And then he would say, who are you and who do you think you are? You're not that important where people are going to be waiting on you. And he would say, like, on set, you have hundreds and hundreds of people, waiting and stuff like that, or being prepared. And when they're ready to go, now they have to wait on you. And how disrespectful was that? So, he always talked about timeliness. And then one of the other things he had taught was the 5 Ps, which is proper planning. Let me double check. Let me recount this. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So the 5 Ps. So, he always said, have a plan. Don't sit here and think you're going to wing it unless it's like improv or whatever, but you still have a routine. But, he always talked about that. So, you're planning things. You want to get things done. You want to stay on task. You got to have a plan. It's one of the major things that like stuck with me growing up was that. And then one of the last things I would like to share about this, and again, a very inspiring man, a hard ass, and he jumped into my ass a couple times too for my timeliness or, my not staying on task or whatever. But, he basically had, we were doing a scene study, and he decides that he pauses this, and the scene is like the guy is, or the girl is like looking at her yearbook, and she's looking at her senior yearbook or whatever, and she's wishing, she's like, oh man, high school was like the best time of my life, like best time of my life. And so he like pauses it, and this is like where the inspirational, like here's that forward thinking that I thought anyway. He looked at the whole class and he says, if you grow up to be an adult and you look back through your life and you say that high school was a highlight of your life, the best time of your life, guess what? You grew up a loser. And then he kind of played the scene and kept going or whatever. And that really stuck with me. That really stuck with me. You grew up a loser. Because like some people wish, I remember back in high school, I was a star quarterback or whatever, and da 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 da. And, but he just kind of, at the end of everything, he kind of elaborated. He just said, because high school, you're not even starting your life yet. And if you grow up through your life and you look back and you say that high school was the best time of your life, then you grew up a loser. You got to aspire for more than that, especially as an adult. You need to push forward. And so I kind of took that like, wow. And as I look back, we're like 20 years plus, I could look back and say high school actually was not the best time of my life. Being a dad, being able to relate the lessons that I learned and hopefully the inspiration and maybe even, that foot in the ass to my son and to my kids, those have been the best times of my life. And I'm still living life. And I'm still looking forward to more better times. Like every time I get up in the morning, I have a chance to make that day better than the last day. So again, another inspiring person. He wasn't my dad, but somebody outside of your life. So maybe you could relate to somebody, like maybe not like even an uncle, but maybe a teacher. Like another teacher I had, Mr. Tom. He was my algebra 2 teacher, and he was pretty inspirational in just something he said. But I'm not going to share that with you. You guys want to hear the story about Mr. Tom, go ahead and leave a comment or hit me up on Twitter at Sean Flack, and I'll tell you. I'll do a quick recording about Mr. Tom. But yeah, Mr. Vinci, he was definitely inspirational. The class was very inspirational, and it really like opened my eyes to the arts, to like performing arts. And not knowing anything about performing arts, I was really quick to judge. I was mainly like a little nerd, kind of outcast kind of kid in high school, and it wasn't the best time for me, during that time. But theater really did inspire me to do more, to open my eyes to theater, and to wanting to produce and direct and do the podcast. Get out there and stream and really produce content that people enjoyed. And I want to say, going through that class, I went, did my own. I was in a musical, and then I did my own one act, which I co-wrote with a friend of mine, and I got to write it, direct it, and act in it. And then doing that curtain call at the end, or am I getting stuff wrong? Curtain call is the end. I think curtain call is the end. I forget what the beginning's called, so sorry if I butchered that. If you guys are like, oh, that's not what curtain call is called. But anyway, at the end, when you go out there and you get this amazing feeling, and I had that feeling through the musical, and I was in the Wiz and a bunch of different parts in the Wiz. But you go out there and you're on stage, and then I had it with my one act. So on the musical and the one act, you go out there, people are clapping, they loved your performance. It's like instant gratification. Theater gave you that. Like if you did a good job, people are going to clap, and if you didn't do a good job, people weren't going to clap. They weren't going to stand up. So I got that itch by doing those two performances, and I wanted to continue to do it. And, obviously life dealt me the cards it did, and I had to push that dream, that aspiration back, because I had a higher obligation to be a father. But kind of touching up on the father part, and again, we are the Dad's Eye podcast, that as men, as dads, as parents too, as women, as moms, and I'm going to say good parents, we push our own wants and needs aside for the choice we made when we brought this child into the world. And, as we get older and things like that, and we kind of have our little taste of mortality, or like I said, I'm 20 years plus outside of high school. I believe I have more years behind me than in front of me at this point. That to not give up on your dream. It's never too late to start something you wanted to do and you were passionate about 20 years ago. If you want to stream, you want to be an actor, you want to start, film school, or you want to be a chef, or, whatever that dream was that drove you when you were younger, that drove you, to motivate you to, what your aspiration was at the time. Don't let it go because of you being a good parent. And I know it's hard, like, as parents, we want to provide the most and the best and all those things. But sometimes you got to look back at yourself. You got to make sure you're happy. You don't want to leave this world with regret. Well, what could I have done? As I've lived my whole life for my kids, I put my hopes and my dreams on the back burner. And at the end, I left this world with an idea on my chest, with something I wanted to try, that, you leave the world with regret. And I don't want you guys to do that as parents, and I don't want to do that. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the inspiration to do this came from theater, came from, the performing arts, came from just arts in general. And that's my appreciation for art, comes from theater, comes from that class, comes from being able to talk in front of people. And, that's what I'm doing here. Like, I want to continue that. I want to write. I want to direct. I want to act. I want to, create something that you as an audience, you as a listener enjoy. And I hope that's what I'm doing with my podcast. So on that, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. We're about almost time's up for the episode. Again, holla at your homie Candice. I'm going to make sure all of her information is in the description below. Again, she's a coach with Beachbody. Um, Again, with everything that's going on, their online workouts, their groups where you guys can meet and things like that. I'm pretty sure at this point online or over the phone or however. But again, that class was inspirational. That theater class was inspiring, as inspirational is inspiring, was inspiring that, pushed me to kind of do what I'm doing right now, even through being a parent. But again, seeing my friend Candice, um, out there being persistent, doing what she's doing, as busy as she is, she's still putting into herself, into her wellness. And then, of course, trying to provide the same type of group, the same type of, accepting, non-judgmental atmosphere, again, is something inspiring, especially with the times we're going through right now. So anyway, let's go ahead and close up shop. If you have any questions, comments, or emotional outbursts, again, you can hit me up at Sean or on Twitter. That's at Sean Flack. You go to the website, www.seanflack.com. I have links to everything. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can also find me on the Mixer once a week. I'm streaming scheduled from 9 to 10:30 Pacific Standard Time. If there's any changes to that schedule, I'll also shoot it out on Facebook and on Twitter. So some nights I'll stream and some nights, if I have to cancel, but go ahead and go to Twitter. Follow me at Sean Flack to get the latest updates and be able to get in contact with me directly there. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hopefully you're in great health. And again, I do, have you guys in my thoughts, trying to put those good vibes out there in the universe that we get through the current situation with as minimal hardship as possible. And until the next episode, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you then. Peace.